The silent world. The Chamber of Stars was the most sacred place in the known galaxy. It floated in the void between three ancient nebulae, far from any empire's territory, far from any world's gravity. The station called Meridian had been built by the first spacefaring species 12,000 years ago. It had witnessed the rise and fall of 100 civilizations. It had survived wars that burned across 1,000,000 light-years. And for the last 5 centuries, it had served as the meeting place for every intelligent species that wished to be heard. The Great Chamber itself was a sphere of living crystal, 3 kilometers across, filled with floating platforms where delegates from 500 worlds conducted the business of existence. Light did not behave normally here. It bent and twisted, carrying voices across impossible distances, creating windows into other platforms so that any delegate could see and speak to any other. On this day, the 83rd annual convergence of minds, every platform was occupied except one. The empty platform had been there for 250 years. It was small compared to the others, designed for a species that had never arrived. A simple plaque floated beside it, written in the 17 primary languages of the Assembly, Earth Il System Human Collective. Ambassador Thavix of the Zorati Dominion stared at that empty platform and felt his 4 hearts constrict with something between anger and pity. The Zorati were tall beings, their bodies like flowing silver mercury given humanoid form. They had ruled their corner of the galaxy for 8,000 years. They had guided 93 younger species into the galactic community. They had never failed to bring a new civilization into the fold. Until humanity. The humans send their standard response, announced the Keeper of Records, a small creature whose species existed only to remember. Its voice echoed through the Chamber of Stars. They thank the Assembly for its invitation. They wish all species prosperity and peace. They will not be attending. 250 times, Thavix said, his liquid form rippling with frustration. 250 invitations. The same answer every time. Beside him, High Coordinator Vess of the Minthril Hive made a sound like wind through broken glass. The Minthril were insectoid, their exoskeletons shimmering with bioluminescent patterns that served as their primary language. Perhaps we should accept their decision. Some species prefer solitude. Solitude is one thing. Stubbornness is another. This came from General Corix of the then Martial Collective, a massive being of stone and fire whose species had evolved on a volcanic world. We have offered them everything. Protection. Technology. Trade. Knowledge. They refuse it all and hide on their little blue world like frightened children. Thavix remembered the first contact 250 years ago. He had been young then, barely a century old, serving as a junior diplomat on the mission to Sol System. The Zorati had detected human radio signals decades earlier and had waited patiently for the species to develop faster-than-light capability. When that day never came, they decided to make the first move. The humans had been strange. They welcomed the Zorati with cautious politeness. They accepted gifts of star charts and translation technology. They listened carefully to everything the diplomats told them about the galaxy, the Assembly, the opportunities that awaited them among the stars. And then they said no. Not aggressively. Not fearfully. Just no. Thank you for the information. Thank you for the gifts. We will stay here. We will develop at our own pace. Please do not visit again without invitation. The Zorati had been confused. No species had ever refused first contact benefits. The galaxy was dangerous. Younger civilizations needed protection, guidance, resources. Going alone was suicide. But the humans seemed to believe otherwise. What do our observers report? Thavix asked. The Keeper of Records consulted its perfect memory. The humans remain confined to their solar system. They have colonized their moon and established research stations on their 4th planet. They have mining operations in their asteroid belt. Their military capability is minimal. Perhaps 200 small patrol vessels. No weapons capable of threatening any Assembly member. Primitive, Corix rumbled. They waste centuries building toys while the galaxy moves forward without them. Vess's patterns flickered thoughtfully. And yet they seem content. Our psychological analysts cannot understand them. They do not appear afraid. They do not appear aggressive. They simply wait. Wait for what? Thavix asked. No one had an answer. The summit continued for 3 more days. Trade agreements were negotiated. Border disputes were mediated. Scientific discoveries were shared. And through it all, Earth's empty platform floated in silence, a reminder of the one species the galaxy could not reach. Then on the final day the alarms began. The detection grid that monitored the galaxy's most dangerous regions had picked up movement. Something was stirring in the darkness between galaxies, in the cold void where no star had ever shone. The Hollow were waking. Every species in the Chamber of Stars knew the Hollow. They were the nightmare that had haunted galactic civilization since before recorded history. No one knew where they came from. No one knew what they truly were. They appeared as vast organic structures, ships if they could be called that, made of darkness and hunger. They did not communicate. They did not negotiate. They simply consumed. Stars, planets, entire civilizations. The last Hollow emergence, for centuries ago, had destroyed the Vanthex Empire. 80 billion souls. Gone in a single decade. Their trajectory, the Keeper of Records announced, its voice trembling for the first time in living memory. The Hollow swarm is moving toward the outer rim. Toward unprotected space. The chamber fell silent as the projected path appeared in the air above them. Directly toward Sol System. Directly toward Earth. They will be destroyed, Vess said quietly. The humans have nothing that can stop the Hollow. No species has faced the Hollow alone and survived. Thavix felt something unexpected in his liquid heart. Sadness. After 250 years of frustration, of confusion, of rejection, he did not want to see humanity die. We should warn them. Offer evacuation at least. Why? Korix demanded. They refused our help. Let them face the consequences. Because we are not monsters, Thavix replied. Because even stubborn children deserve a chance to live. The assembly debated for hours. In the end, they agreed to send a single diplomatic vessel to Sol System. Not a rescue fleet. Not a military escort. Just one ship carrying one offer: leave your world or die with it. They expected the humans to finally understand their mistake. They expected begging. They expected gratitude. They had no idea what they would actually find. 12,000 light-years away, in a room that existed on no official record, Director Amara Okonkwo read the intercepted transmission from the assembly. She was old now, her dark skin lined with the weight of secrets she had carried for 60 years. Her grandmother had been a physicist on the team that first decoded the Zorati star charts. Her mother had been an engineer who designed the first hidden construction yards in the Kuiper Belt. Amara herself had spent her entire adult life as the keeper of humanity's greatest secret. The room around her was buried 3 kilometers beneath the mountains of a continent the aliens had never surveyed closely. It was filled with screens showing data that would have made the Zorati weep with envy. Fleet positions, weapons research, construction schedules. The true scope of human activity in their solar system. The Hollow will arrive in 6 weeks, said Colonel James Chin, her military liaison. He was young enough to be her grandson, but his eyes held the same weight of knowledge that hers did. Our projections matched the assemblies. Amara nodded slowly. Then it's time. She had known this day would come. Her grandmother had known. Her great-grandmother, who had first looked at those Zorati star charts and understood their true meaning, had known. The star charts had shown everything. Every species. Every empire. Every fleet. Every war. Every extinction. And the pattern had been clear to anyone willing to look. The galaxy was a trap. The assembly was not protection. Was a herd. A herd that stayed together, shared everything, revealed all its strengths and weaknesses to every other member. And when the Hollow came, the herd was culled. The species that survived longest were the ones who kept secrets. The ones who hid their true capabilities. The ones who never let the galaxy know what they could really do. Humanity had looked at 250 years of invitations, and they had made a choice. They would not join the herd. They would build in silence. They would wait. And when the darkness came, they would be ready. Amara pressed her hand to a panel that read her DNA, her heartbeat, her neural patterns. Across the solar system, in construction yards hidden in asteroids, in shipyards buried beneath the ice of distant moons, in research stations camouflaged as mining operations, the signal was received. 2,000 warships began to wake. 50 years of construction. 3 generations of sacrifice. Every piece of alien technology that humanity had quietly collected, studied, and improved. Every weapon system designed in secret labs. Every engine built faster, stronger, more efficient than anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Hollow were coming. And humanity was finally ready to stop hiding. The thunder speaks. The Hollow swarm entered the Sol System like a disease entering a body. 1,200 vessels, each one a nightmare-given form. They were not built like any ship the galaxy knew. They grew. They evolved. They were part machine, part organism, part something else entirely that defied classification. Their hulls were black as the void between stars, absorbing light, absorbing heat, absorbing hope. They moved past the outer planets without pausing. Neptune's blue face reflected their passage like a dying dream. Uranus tumbled on in silence, ignored. The gas giants meant nothing to them. They could smell life. They could taste thought. And they were hungry. On Station Meridian, the Galactic Assembly watched through long-range sensors. The diplomatic vessel they had sent was still 3 days from Sol System, too far away to matter. 1,200 hollow vessels, the keeper of records intoned. This is the largest swarm recorded in 4,000 years. Ambassador Thavik stood before the holographic display, his liquid form completely still. The blue-green marble of Earth hung in the projected void, tiny and fragile, surrounded by the spreading darkness of the approaching swarm. How long until they reached the human homeworld? He asked. 14 hours at current speed. General Corix's volcanic form crackled with something that might have been satisfaction or sorrow. It will be over quickly at least. The humans will not suffer long. High Coordinator Vessa's patterns flickered mournfully. We should record this. For history. So that future species will understand the cost of isolation. Around the Chamber of Stars, 500 species watched the final hours of humanity approach. Some felt pity. Some felt vindication. A few privately calculated how they might benefit from the power vacuum in that region of the galaxy. None of them noticed the strange readings coming from the outer edges of the Sol System. Commander Helena Vasquez stood on the bridge of the diplomatic vessel Gentle Dawn as it dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of human territory. She was Zarati trained, one of the Assembly's finest contact specialists, chosen specifically for this mission because she had studied human psychology for decades. She expected to find chaos. She expected to find a world in panic, its leaders desperate for any help, its people screaming at the sky. Instead, she found silence. Commander, her sensor officer said, confusion evident in his voice. Earth's communication networks are calm. Normal traffic patterns. No emergency broadcasts. No evacuation orders. That's impossible. They must know the hollow are coming. The swarm will be visible to their telescopes by now. They know. There are news reports discussing it. But the sensor officer trailed off, unable to find words for what his instruments were telling him. Helena opened a channel to Earth's communication network, broadcasting on the frequency that all Assembly diplomatic vessels used. Attention Earth authorities. This is the Assembly diplomatic vessel Gentle Dawn. We come with an urgent message regarding the approaching hollow swarm. We are prepared to offer evacuation assistance. Please respond. The response came immediately, which surprised her. A human woman's face appeared on her view screen. Old, dark-skinned, with eyes that held a weight Helena couldn't quite identify. This is Director Amara Okonkwo of the Earth Defense Directorate. Thank you for your concern, Commander. Evacuation will not be necessary. Helena blinked. Director, I'm not sure you understand the situation. There are 1,200 hollow vessels approaching your world. Your military capabilities are insufficient to. We understand the situation completely, Amara interrupted. Her voice was calm. Certain. We have been preparing for this moment for 250 years. We appreciate the Assembly's offer, but we will handle this ourselves. Before Helena could respond, her sensor officer made a sound of pure disbelief. Commander, you need to see this. The main view screen shifted to show the outer solar system. Helena had studied Sol's configuration extensively. She knew every planet, every moon, every significant asteroid. She did not recognize what she was seeing now. The darkness beyond Neptune was coming alive. Points of light were appearing. Hundreds of them. Thousands of them. Engine signatures more powerful than anything Helena had ever seen. Ships emerging from places where no ships could possibly have been hiding. From the asteroid belt, from the shadows of gas giant moons, from the frozen reaches of the Kuiper belt, from empty space that had seemed completely empty for 250 years. The human fleet revealed itself. 2,000 warships, each one massive beyond comprehension. Their hulls were black, designed to be invisible against the void, but now they were lighting their engines, and those engines burned with a blue-white fire that turned the outer solar system into an artificial dawn. That's not possible, Helena whispered. We've watched them. We've scanned their system. They had nothing. A few patrol ships. Some mining vessels. Nothing like this. On her view screen, Director Amara Okonkwo smiled. It was not a cruel smile. It was the smile of a grandmother revealing a surprise she had been planning for years. The Assembly showed us the star charts 250 years ago, Amara said. They showed us everything. Every species. Every fleet. Every capability. We learned a great deal from those charts. We learned that the galaxy is a dangerous place. We learned that species who show their strength become targets. We learned that the hollow always return and they always target the weak. Helena found she could not speak. So we decided to appear weak. We declined your invitations. We stayed quiet. We let the galaxy think we were primitives playing with toys. And while you watched our little patrol ships, while you laughed at our empty chair in your great assembly, we were building. Amara's eyes hardened. We were always building. On Station Meridian, the Chamber of Stars had fallen completely silent. The sensor displays showed the impossible fleet forming into battle lines. 2,000 human warships, moving with a coordination that spoke of centuries of planning, taking position between the hollow swarm and their homeworld. Their ships, Ambassador Thavix breathed. The design. It incorporates elements from every major assembly species. Zorati shields, Minthril sensors, then weapons systems. But they're all improved. Enhanced beyond anything we've achieved. They learned from us, Vess said, her patterns flickering with sudden understanding. Every piece of technology we shared. Every demonstration we gave. Every trade show and research paper. They were studying everything. And making it better, Corax finished. His volcanic form had gone very still. The first hollow vessels reached weapons range. Admiral Marcus Reyes stood on the bridge of the Prometheus Rising, humanity's flagship. He was 63 years old, the son and grandson of secret fleet officers. He had trained for this battle since he was old enough to walk. All ships report ready, his tactical officer announced. Marcus looked at the view screen. 1,200 hollow vessels, each one a monster that had devoured civilizations. They were accelerating now, sensing the human fleet eager to consume this new prey. They had no idea what they were about to face. Signal the fleet, Marcus said. Execute Thunder Protocol. 2,000 human warships opened fire simultaneously. The weapons they used were not in any galactic assembly database. They were based on alien technology, yes, but transformed into something new. Something that had never existed before. Coherent gravitational beams that crushed hollow vessels into dense balls of dead matter. Quantum disruptors that tore through organic armor like it was paper. Antimatter warheads that burned with the fury of captive stars. The first wave of hollow ships simply ceased to exist. On Station Meridian, delegates screamed. Some in fear. Some in disbelief. The Keeper of Records, for the first time in its species' 10,000-year history, forgot to record what it was witnessing. The battle lasted 4 hours. It was not a battle. It was an execution. The Hollow tried to adapt as they always did. They shifted formation, concentrated their attack, attempted to overwhelm the human ships with sheer numbers. It did not matter. Human tactics were unlike anything the galaxy had seen. Their ships moved in perfect coordination, covering each other, drawing hollow vessels into kill zones, exploiting weaknesses in organic armor that no other species had ever discovered. When the last hollow vessel died, torn apart by a concentrated barrage from 200 human destroyers, the Sol system was quiet once more. Of the 1,200 hollow ships that had entered the system, not one remained. Of the 2,000 human warships, not one had been lost. On Earth, Director Amara Okonkwo watched the final tactical displays update. She allowed herself to close her eyes for a moment, feeling the weight of 250 years of secrets finally lift from her shoulders. It was over. And at the same time it was just beginning. 1 week later, for the first time in 250 years, a human delegation arrived at Station Meridian. Director Okonkwo entered the Chamber of Stars slowly, supported by a cane she did not truly need. Admiral Reyes walked beside her, still in his battle uniform. Behind them came a small group of human diplomats, their faces calm, their posture respectful but not submissive. 500 species watched in absolute silence as the humans crossed to their platform. The small space that had been empty for so long suddenly seemed to fill the entire chamber. Amara looked out at the assembled delegates. She saw fear in some faces, awe in others, anger in a few. "Thank you for your invitation," she said, her voice carrying through the crystal-enhanced acoustics. "We apologize for our long absence. We had work to do." Ambassador Thavix found his voice first. "You deceived us. For 250 years, you pretended to be weak. You let us believe you were primitives. We let you believe what you wanted to believe," Amara replied gently. "We never lied. We simply chose not to share everything. As every species in this chamber has done in their own way." "Your weapons?" General Corax demanded. "Your technology. Where did it come from?" "From everywhere." Amara smiled. "We listened. We watched. We learned. And then we improved. We are very good at improving things. High Coordinator Vessa's patterns were cycling through colors that had no translation. You could have helped us. With technology like that, you could have ended the hollow threat centuries ago. Amara's smile faded. Perhaps. But we also could have become a target. Every species that revealed its full strength in this galaxy eventually faced enemies who feared that strength. We chose a different path. She looked around the chamber, meeting as many eyes as she could. The hollow will return someday. They always do. And when they do, humanity will be ready. Not as part of a herd waiting to be culled, but as something else. Something the galaxy has never seen before. Admiral Reyes stepped forward. We are not your enemies. We have no interest in conquest or dominion. But we will not be weak. We will not be prey. And from this day forward, we will no longer hide. The silence in the Chamber of Stars stretched for a very long time. Finally, Ambassador Thavik spoke. His liquid form had stopped rippling with agitation. Now it moved slowly, thoughtfully, like deep water finding a new current. The galaxy is changing, he said. Whether we welcome it or not. Perhaps it is time for all of us to reconsider what we believe about strength and weakness, and the space between. Amara nodded. We look forward to the conversation. She lowered herself into the chair that had been empty for 250 years. It fit perfectly. As if it had been waiting for her all along. Outside, in the eternal dark between nebulae, the stars continued their ancient dance. But something had shifted. Something fundamental had changed. Humanity had emerged from the silence. And the galaxy would never be the same. The end.